Hello friends, it's Simone. This is the weirdest hat. It's fluffy up here. Let's tuck this ear under and then get started. So, I'm here to talk about my San Francisco Pen Show experience 2024. That sounds so weird. But that's what I did. I drove down. It's actually down. It's over the mountains and down to the Bay Area from where I live on Thursday. I went in my camper van. Sigh. Okay, I just backed out of the driveway and now I'm checking again if I locked all the cabinets. Nope. I don't know if this is going to be seen anytime soon, but I'm gonna try. All right, everything's done. Nope, back there. Okay, so this is done. This is done. This is done. Fridge is closed. Okay, let's try this again. Can you believe it? Did not close the crate door, and I was wondering what was flapping. So I did not bring the dog, but the door is still here. And I have some clips, but they're like random and there's no conclusion that I'll insert where it works. So I drove down in my camper van on Thursday. And that meant that I prepped the van Thursday. I left just before noonish, maybe 10:30ish or so, 11. And took my time going there, but that doesn't mean that I stuck to the speed limit. I just, it felt good. I had a good flow, so I drove down. And when you're using and sleeping in a camper van, you can't just sleep anywhere. You need to be able to sleep someplace where it's allowed. In general, stealth camping isn't allowed on regular streets, if I'm not mistaken. And it's also not allowed on parking lots unless otherwise stated. So I went to the only place where I know in San Francisco that you can actually legally do that. Not to say that I couldn't have gone many other places, but that just felt better for me. And the cool thing was that it was at the beach and there were whales at that beach. And I just felt like the luckiest person on the planet. When I drove there and went to the parking lot, I was super surprised that the whole parking lot was full on a Thursday when I know that school has already started there. And so I was like, what is happening? So I went to a different parking lot, walked to the beach, and that's when I noticed that there must be something special there. And there was. And it was the coolest thing. I told everyone I saw. And it was kind of a life-changing experience for me for two reasons. First of all, I have never what did I live there? 7 years I lived in California, and we went to the beach regularly in the hopes of maybe possibly seeing whales. Never seen them before. So this was just, I walked up there and there they were. And there were at least 5 or 6. I believe at one point I saw a mom and a baby whale, possibly. Not sure. And so I just sat at the beach on that Thursday, after driving down there, I sat at the beach for 2 hours and just watched. So that was just seeing them was awesome. The second thing that something clicked for me there while I was watching them. Because, so you look out over the ocean surface, you see the horizon line. They're out there. And when you look straight, you just see like, this is what you see. If you look over there, this is what you see. If you look over there, this is what you see. But they were everywhere. So you would see I still didn't look up the word. There's a special word for when a whale exhales the water that is splashing up. You see that, and then you know that probably where that little teeny tiny fountain came up, that's where you will see the whale. So you look over there, you see the thing, and then you wait a little bit longer, and then you see a back. Sometimes you see the whole front of the whale, or the fins, back fins, something. You see something. And that's great. But the only snippet you see of the horizon is this little thing that you see where you're focused at. And then you hear cheering from other people because they see something awesome. Now, the question is the thing that I'm focusing on right here, is that better than the thing that they are seeing back there? I don't know. So when I check, the whale that they were cheering about, or the thing that they saw, is already gone. And I missed out. And then I turned back to the place where I just looked, and I missed out again. And that, sitting at the beach for 2 hours, made me realize that this would be my strategy for the pen show. I would enjoy what was right in front of me. I would be there in that moment and have zen. That sounds weird. You know that I'm calm, I'm here, I'm fully present. That is really hard for me to do when so much is going on around me, especially at a pen show when there is tables, things that I might want to buy, that I might miss out on. But for some reason, watching the whales made me finalize basically the strategy that I was going to go about while at the pen show over that weekend. To work really, really hard to be where I was fully, instead of thinking about the next best thing that was going to be over there at that other table, instead of thinking what others might like, instead of just going for me. That's why, for instance, I'm going to have to count and insert the number of photos I took at the actual show right here. It might be 0. I'm not sure. I cannot remember. And I did not take any footage because knowing that being present in the moment is so damn hard for me in these specific occasions, I didn't want to add another level of complexity to that. And that worked really, really well for me. So the show floor opened at 9 a.m. and I got there maybe 8:45-ish. I didn't know what to expect. I almost couldn't find any parking the next day, so on Friday. I almost couldn't find any parking. I did though. Lucky me. I then stood in the first line that was to receive my all-day pass. And then did I even stand in the second line? I think they started already moving when I was still standing in the first line to go into the show floor. It opened at 9, and that's when the line really quickly dissolved because everybody had an all-access pass. And then I was there on a mission. I shared my notebook, which is somewhere here. I brought it over. This little thing in my San Francisco Pen Show prep video where I said shopping list, and I wanted to pick up some things for friends. And so the most important thing, in my opinion, was something for my friend Brandy at the plotter table. So I went there, and the line was just overwhelming. I was just I have this on my phone, and I just didn't know if I actually still filmed because it was off. So I decided, nope, because the line was so long, I decided that I would stick it out, stand there, that's Zen, it's okay, you're not missing out, what is meant to be, blah, 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 all those things. And then I just chatted up my neighbors. I saw Christy from Snarky Wordsmith. What the heck? Did I just lose your name, Christy? Snarky Wordsmith? Something. In that line. And so I just chatted those people up. Which I found super interesting because the last time that I think I talked to you was that I'm not good at this. But for some reason, when you're nerding out with people who love the same things that you do, then it's really easy. It was super fun. And the best thing about this whole experience was you guys. For real. First of all, speaking from experience, it's super hard to talk to people that you don't know. And then just walking up to some random stranger and saying, hey, are you Simone? I watch your YouTube videos. Hearing this made my day. Every single person who came up, again, I don't have any photos. You need to go look anywhere else for those. Some people took photos with me. Man, I felt so honored. It just felt really great. And the reason why I remember it is because last year and this year as well, leading up to the event, I was kind of scared what would happen, how I would be able to, communicate with you all, but it went so much better than I thought it would, and I'm a natural, maybe possibly. I could be, I could be a natural at one thing. It was so much fun meeting every single one of you. I loved talking to you all, and yeah, it was great. It was great talking to every single person. I think I stood in line for almost an hour. I was able to snag the things I was supposed to get there. And then I don't really know. Oh, and then I made my way to White Bear Pens because I remembered that I saw a pen and I'm going to insert the photo here because I do have that one, that I would have picked up from Michaela from White Bear Pens if it was still there. But of course, it wasn't. So then I realized that the other dude maker I wanted to check out was Mayfair Pens. 2 tables down from White Bear Pens. And I bought my first pen. It took like 2 minutes. I'm quickly gonna show it to you right here. I hope this is even coming up and looking like something. This is a Vanyar model, and I have been really attracted to these pens for quite some time. And I held it and was like, oh my gosh, I did not think that the grip section was so comfortable. And then I bought it and I showed it to all of my friends, and you will see Karina, Christy, Kristen, Maria, who else? Rachel from Instarax. They all bought. My friend Mar. Not sure if Amy bought one too, but they touched my pen. They went there, they bought their own pen. And why I thought I wanted to check out, I think it's Ben from Mayfair Pens, was because Aziza and Candace from the Gourmet Pens podcast always speak so highly of those pens. But I have never pursued this pen online because of the shape. I needed to touch and feel it first before I could take this pen into serious consideration as a contender for a comfortable fountain pen. I will show this in more detail when I do the top-down unboxing video of all the things. I haven't really thought of how I'm going to do that yet, so that's coming soon. But that was the first pen. It took like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes for me to decide. And I'm so glad I picked it up. And then I just wandered around the show floor. I looked at all the things. I knew that I wanted to check out Newton pens because Maria spoke so highly of them. I knew that I wanted to go and check out Maverick pens, or Maverick pens, which were at the same table as Carolina Penco. I wanted to say hi to River City Pen Company. And so I just walked around and picked stuff up, did not pick stuff up. One of my main goals, as I said in my prep video, was to check out all the maker pens and secretly test them on their level of polishing as well as their threads. And I'm not sure how to say this nicely, but there are some pens, some people take more time to polish their pens than they are to make sure that the threads are really nicely done. And I learned that I personally am extremely picky about that. So that definitely crossed off some of the pen makers that were there, which is, you know, there were other people who bought their pens. So it's not that they necessarily are doing something wrong, but they just don't meet my pickiness level, basically. So, I went and saw Sean Newton, and there was a dude standing right next to me who knew him maybe possibly from earlier. And so we just started talking and it felt really natural. I asked him questions. I did not ask when did you start making pens? So how did you get into making pens? I think I did ask Sean Newton that, but that was the only pen maker that I actually asked. Because there were other questions that I wanted to ask other people more. But for some reason, we actually got to talk about our children and how one is driven to finish high school early, the other one could care less about high school, things like that. And it was just such a great conversation. I really enjoyed him very much. He seems to be such a nice guy. He started a foundation to support kids to attend college, which I find absolutely amazing. I need to do some research on what that is so that I can actually link it in the description box down below. If it's not there yet, know that I'm working on it, but it's Wednesday after the show. I got home on Monday afternoon. I went to work yesterday. I haven't really unpacked any of my stationery, so I'm trying, but I thought I would film that first impressions, the face-to-face thing before I got into all the other stuff, so that I wouldn't forget how it felt. And then I just wandered. I saw Galen from Fountain Pendulum, and she, maybe you remember early in 2023, she had reached out to me and asked me if I would be sharing her wooden pen holders and vial holders on my YouTube channel. And she had just started doing those, and I was very happy to promote her. And so what she did was she reached out to me and said, if you bring your old holder, I will exchange it for a new one. And let me tell you, her skills have improved so much. I feel like a mom, but I'm so proud of the development that I'm able to see. It's just stunning work, so much heart and soul poured into every bit that she makes. Everything is so well thought out. This is the one that I picked. It's just really, really great. It's magnetic. I love the back here. And I'm just, yeah, I might be really, the money you spent with Fountain Pendulum is spent well. There is so much attention to detail. It feels just amazing. So great. What else did I do? Oh, then now there's people coming home. Maybe one person, maybe two, I don't know. Then before I talked to Sean Newton, I went to the Sailor table and I purchased one of the Line Friend specials. And of course I picked up Sally and not the bear. I did not, as I told you previously, did not allocate specific funds to any of the purchases that I made. But I felt like it was kind of, I didn't feel buying two for myself. I bought the special pen show ink from Sailor that they sell for 2024. And that pen, and the other pen that I muled home for someone else. And then that was that. Then I walked by Galen from Fountain Pendulum, and she is like 2 tables down from Jonathan Brooks, who was sitting with Maverick pens. And I had seen one of their pens online that I really wanted to get, but I wasn't sure if it was a great idea to buy a pen 4 days before the San Francisco Pen Show. And I'm actually glad I did not. Not because, again, there's anything wrong with their pens, but they had sent me the specs for the pen. The grip section was a bit narrower than I personally prefer. And so I tested it there, and it just wasn't speaking to me as much as it had online. And I already had found I really like the transparent look on these pens, and I think this resin, which is actually poured by Enigma Stationery, was doing it for me, and I was saturated with that kind of resin already. I had already purchased this, and so the other one wasn't really, adding any more to what I already purchased. But I stood at that table for quite a while and asked random questions to Jonathan Brooks from Carolina Pen Company. And I'm going to say another controversial thing. He is a true artist, because most of the resins that he pours look amazing. Maybe that's a special skill that he has that others don't. But to me, most of them speak to me, even though they are swirly, and I still stand by that I don't like swirly pens that much. They have to be special. And he is able to do that with almost every blank that he pours, which I find super fascinating. And he talked to me about, or to us, there was, again, another person standing right next to me, about what makes a koi, what that means. Like, there's 2 different whites, something sparkly, some specific color. So he has that koi, that general koi recipe is always the same, just the colors change, which I thought was super interesting. And by the way he talked about that made me realize the fact that he put so much thought into how each of these colors will belong together probably makes those blanks so special. What else did he? And then of course, this is his full-time job. And I asked him how many blanks he pours every day. And he said between 150 to 300, which I thought was wild. Like, wow. He told me about why primary manipulation was, what was the thing that he said? So the pastel primary manipulation is not anything that he never pours pastel primary manipulation again, because that was a limited run. But the way that he like maybe found a back door into making similar blanks is by calling one primary manipulation light. And that is basically the primary manipulation that it was in the beginning. I didn't know that it was around for years. He said a specific number, and it was like maybe 10 years-ish. So he had been pouring that exact same resin for that long, and it it turned darker and darker the longer he poured it. And so the primary manipulation light, if I recall that conversation correctly, is basically how primary manipulation looked like when he started pouring it in the beginning. What else? Yeah, the showroom, there was a huge ballroom. Then there were adjacent hallways that were populated by vendors. And then there were 3 separate rooms that were populated by vendors. I checked out the pilot booth because I wanted to do the handwriting test. I was not able to get a spot there until the last slot on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Which was a bummer, but here's my results. I will show them to you again on a top-down thing. I don't think it's worth staying longer if you don't want to stay long that day. And then I wandered through the ballroom, I wandered through the small halls and rooms, and I met up with my friends for lunch. So I have basically 2 different sets of friends. For some reason, they haven't mingled yet. My Bay Area planner friends, basically, those that lived close to me that I met up after the pandemic limitations were over. And then I have all of those YouTube friends and people that are on my Discord. And for some reason, they haven't mingled yet. And so I met for lunch with them on Friday, and we hung out and did a show and tell. But before that, I walked by the Leonardo table and I saw this, and this is the primary manipulation that I was just talking about. And I saw it and I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And look at the humongous nib that is, oh, let me do this, that is there. What an amazing thing. So I asked Clarissa what it was, and it's a titanium nib. And so I said, well, I'm really interested in this, but I definitely will not buy this pen without testing it first. I have never written with a titanium nib. And she was like, well, usually you can't test titanium nibs before. I'm like, okay, well. And so she was hesitant to ask Salvatore, the owner of Leonardo. But he then asked me what I wanted. I said, well, I'm interested in this pen, but I can't buy it unless I try it. And so you have to heat set the feed, because it's an ebonite feed. And so he did that for me. I tried it and I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. And then that's how I bought this pen. Weird. It was really weird. I went there, I never walked away with any of the pens that I bought. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy this now. I never had to walk away, do another round and come back. It was, yes, I love the writing experience with this pen. I'm just gonna get it. So I did. So we had lunch. I had purchased this pen. And then there was a lot of afternoon left. I actually don't really know how I spent the rest of it. I noticed quite quickly that my energy was dwindling down tremendously. I think I have no idea what I did. Did I do anything else on Friday? Chatted with people. Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah, but I went I went to the show to look at the Esterbrook Funky Lake. And when I saw that, I knew that I had to buy it, because basically this color is the color that I would choose to be if I had to be a color. This is just such a great teal, turquoise something that this is by far my favorite Esterbrook SD now. For real, for real, for real, no cap. So I bought that, and I don't really know what else. Here are those 4 pens that I purchased. I did not buy any more pens at the show. For some reason, I felt very saturated. Don't you think that these also look like they are telling an amazing color story? I feel like they match, they go together. It's a thing. Yeah, so I went to the Pen Posse D-Stash, which was really awesome. I was able to talk to Carola from Carola. I talked to Karina, I talked to Kristen, talked to quite a lot of people that I knew already, and it was a great way to just sit a little bit and chat. I think we sat there at that table for like an hour. And also I met Larry. Larry is a friend of Pamela from the Bay Area, and he brought a Santini pen for me to try. And that was an experience in itself, because this guy is invested in his pens. He had 2 Montegrappa pens. He had some strong opinions, for sure. If you met Larry at the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'll show you the photo that I took of the 2 pens. Wow. They are so out there, but they're so amazing as well. Like, only fountain pen people would understand. And the interesting thing that I thought about those pens, when I uncapped them and held them in my hand, they didn't feel like you wouldn't be able to write with them. They actually felt comfortable to hold in the hand, which I thought was stunning. After that D-Stash meeting, where I picked up One Ink, I think I also picked up the cleaning tools from Schon Design. This is not the original packaging, but this is how I made sure I wouldn't lose them. I picked up the cleaning tools from Schon Design. I think I picked them all up. I picked up Pilot, Platinum, Lamy, and what's the 4th? Where's the 4th one? Down here. What's that one? Lamy, Sailor, Pilot, Platinum, and Lamy. I do have the Jowo compatible cleaning tool already, because I purchased a Monarch nib last year. So I can now clean all of my pens extremely easily, and I actually used them to rinse my pens, because I dip tested them all on Friday night once I got back to my beach. I went back on Saturday. I was taking 2 classes on Saturday, the nib tuning class as well as the nib grinding class. And I wasn't sure if I should be there for my class, which would start at 10, or if I should be there at 8 for general admission, not general, for all access pass admission. But then I remembered that, parking was tough. So I actually went early, but also Kristen had gotten up early for me to sign me up for a nib grinding and tuning appointment with Matthew Chen, who is Pactagon. And I had tried this pen, dip tested this pen, and it was very dry. And so I had him tune this to be wetter. And then I had also make this nib into a beak point, which is basically a reverse fude nib. So this is you can write on the reverse on this flat beak, and then you can also write with the tip of the nib. And so, yeah, I'm very interested to see how this nib is going to work for me. And then, so I went there early, so because I was number 1 on his list, which meant when he would start grinding, I would be the first person to be up. So that's what I had done, and I'm glad I went there early because parking was nuts. So if I had come at 10, I wouldn't have gotten a parking spot again. The classes were weird, but I got a lot of material, which I really appreciated because it gave me a basic understanding on how you would go about tuning your nib, how you would go about grinding a nib, and what materials you should use. I personally would love to attend a nib grinding class hosted by someone else just to get a different perspective. And I felt like I wasted a lot of my time on Saturday because a lot of the information, a lot of the time was spent idle. However, I learned later that Saturday was a crazy day. There were so many people in the showroom, and I think in the future, this would be an awesome strategy for me to take classes on Saturday, but not necessarily maybe this one, so that I would have to stay out of the showroom, because for some reason I can't stay away from it if I have access to it. But if I'm busy otherwise, that's awesome. I unfortunately have to go and take care of my dog. Okay, where was I? So Saturday was mostly spent in classes, two 3-hour classes. And then I met up with a lot of people from my Discord and we went out for dinner. It was awesome. It was like, wow. Everybody was basically the way that I imagined them to be. It was fun. It was so much fun hanging out with them. I don't even want to, call out a specific person. I think we were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12-ish people, 13-ish. It was fun. It was super cool. Unfortunately, the 12 people, 13 people also means that you don't get to talk to every single person at the table. We took an awesome Mayfair Pens group shot. That was cool. I'm going to insert that here. You probably saw it on other people's feeds already. Yeah, it was just a good time. I'm not just hanging with the Discord people, but just talking to people that I have met online already. Just being there, having that community that I'm lacking here, that's why I'm always talking to you, was just really awesome. In my nib tuning class, I actually met an older dude who lives somewhere over there. And he gave me his card. I totally forgot to give him mine. You know, I'm not good at that thing. I'm not a dedicated YouTuber. So it's on me to reach out. And I asked him if he had found fountain pen people to meet here. He hasn't, which makes me think that we might be the only two people in Reno who are into fountain pens. If you are someone from Reno or the surrounding areas, please let me know. We need to meet. That was Saturday. And on Saturday, I decided that I would do something really illegal, which was just stealth camp on the parking lot. Because I was so tired that I didn't think it was safe for me to drive back to my beach, or that I then had to get up really early because I feared the parking was going to be nuts again on Sunday. And I had a nib appointment on Sunday at 10, so I needed to be here for that. And so again, I just stayed there. Which meant I could sleep a little longer, which meant I could have breakfast and slow breakfast, slow morning, because I was already there. The planes taking off, it wasn't many, but I remember 2 times. The first time was around like 11 p.m. or so, when I had just fallen asleep and was asleep for I went to bed really early. A plane took off. Maybe it's the size of the plane makes a difference, but when those 2 planes, one in the morning, one at 11 p.m.ish, took off, my whole van everything vibrated. It just shook, which was super weird. So I did that. I did the stealth camping thing and had my nib appointment. I took 3 things to the nib thing. I did not take my Waterman Karen because I actually sent that away to a friend who is going to buy it before. I did some testing, and I think I tested it with a dry ink. It worked really well as well. And so I decided not to do anything about it, and I sent that to the friend who wanted to test it, and she actually decided to buy it. So maybe we'll talk about gifts first before I'm talking about the nib tuning. My friend Kristen gifted me this pen, which is a Franklin Christoph P20. And I seem to be a sucker for these sparkly holo things. I'm glad that's in there. And it has an extra fine sig nib. I had an extra fine sig nib previously, and I did not really like that. And now I have another one, and I inked it up last night, and it's writing really well. So I don't know what it is about that. I need to figure out if this is a pen that I want to keep, if this is working for me or not. That basically is the premise for all the things that I brought home with me. I need to figure out if they are really for me. They were appealing when I bought them in the moment, but I have no long-term experience with any of these besides the SD. What I find really interesting is that it doesn't do any of those, clicky sounds that you would expect when you cap a pen. And I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be, or it's because because the cap stretched has cracks. I don't know. If you have a P20, please let me know. I would just be interested in general. So I was gifted this, and someone else actually commented under the San Francisco prep video. Julia was her name, I believe, and she had an extra spare, extra fine Pilot Vanishing Point nib unit that she gifted me. And as I said before, I dip tested all of the pens that I purchased right away, as well as this gifted nib unit, and I found that it needed to be tuned and smoothed. So I brought my 2 platinums that I got ground, and then I had him tune and smooth this nib, which I'm really happy about because I inked it up last night as well. And something's wrong with me because I seem to really like this. Spoiler alert. So I got this is a Platinum 3776 in extra fine. I got this ground to a monoline grind, which doesn't really do the bold, you know, that you would see. For instance, Bichori did a class on monoline writing with those broad monoline nibs. That's not this. This, I feel, is amazing to write at any angle that you hold it. It feels like an everyday carry pen to me, that you don't have to, you know, sit down, have the correct posture, which would be nice, but maybe you're taking a quick note, but you're pulling out your fountain pen and it's here for you and it writes. That's how this feels. And then I had this platinum, which was a broad nib ground, well, you can't really see it here, ground into a reverse architect nib. Because as I also said before, I don't like how the screw to post of the TWSBI Mini works. So I have 4 pens now that I purchased or had made differently to fill with platinum carbon black and use them as planner pens, as journaling pens in my creative journal. And what I want to do after I'm showing you those pens and how they write is I'm going to unink them all. They're all inked with colorful inks at the moment, and ink them all with platinum carbon black and then use them for a while to see how each of them works for me. If one is better, if one is not as good, and then see if I decide not to use them with platinum carbon black, if there is a use for them with colored inks for my letter writing and other journaling purposes. So basically that was all of Sunday, like all the things that I wanted to do on Sunday, and I was done by 10:40-ish with that. But I also went by the pilot table to sign up for the handwriting analysis, and I got the last appointment of the day at 4:30 p.m. So I stuck around at the show for a long time, and I was basically fried by that time. Even though I only spent like 2.5 hours at the show in the morning, I was done. So I met Mickey, one of my Discord members, a friend. I really like her. I hope she felt the same way. I could call her a friend, and Kristen. And we went to go have lunch at In-N-Out. That took some time off the show floor. We just chatted. And then I made some last minute purchases, like this awesome rickshaw bag, which is my current new everyday carry bag. I'm not regretting the purchase, but I wish the inside pockets were as deep as the whole length of the bag. They are not, which I found odd. I understand, because then you don't have to dig your hand all the way deep down. but it makes it less user friendly for me. But I love it. And I love especially that I did not see these nibs here until the day after. Now I love this bag even more. It was the only colorful bag that was still there. This was inspired by Kristen. She actually bought the same one. I didn't intend to do that, but it was just the only one that was left. I also really loved the California Bear, but then I find this to be even cooler given that I'm not living in California anymore. So love it. I love it. I love it. I also, so here, this is all the ink that I brought home with me. Bottles of ink. Samples are over here. I brought home. So also, I just want to say thank you so freaking much for all of your generosity. Everywhere, all the time. Generosity with love, with words, with material things. Thank you, Maria. I ordered these in a group buy and I was fully prepared to pay for them, but you gifted them to me. I'm so thankful. This was I am going to buy this ink, and then Wagner, because I'm German, I can actually pronounce his name correctly, is a green ink, and I believe I saw it on Leanne's channel, so I had to have it, and so I jumped at the opportunity. This one was one I swapped with Karina. It's the Rosa Mexicano from Amarillo Stationery and Pannonia. I fell for the 4 inks for the price of 3 on Sunday at the Drum Ghouls table. And I bought Diamond Walnut. I bought Sailor 50 States Nevada. This I didn't buy it at that table. I bought Sailor Shikiori Okuyama. It looks like the same ink that I have in different variation. And then I also bought Wearing Ghoul Heimdall, but I have this, I thought this was an ochre. It's more of a yellow orange. So, yep. Then I got the San Francisco Pen Show ink. I bought the 2024 Pen Show exclusive ink at the Sailor table. This green is not what is inside, unfortunately. It's darker than I thought it would be. It's okay though. You received a free ink from Monteverde if you mentioned their Instagram post. So I did. I picked this one and I'm extremely liking this color. And I'm just surprised. I never gravitated towards Monteverde inks for some reason. Not sure what. But this one is surprisingly great. Like the color and the flow. And then this was from the D-Stash. This is Shinkaichi Gold, number 22. Galen gave me Krishna Chennai, my favorite ink of 2024. I haven't even opened this yet. I don't know how much is in there. And then, like basically the last minute, I bought a Kiwi Inks because I have never purchased any of their inks, and I just wanted to support a local-ish maker. And yeah, I want to see what this ink is all about. So I also bought some stationery, but not much. Bought some small things. I bought this from Tokubetsu Memory. It's another Pion tape that I'm really in love with. Same with this tape. It's a line work. I will show an unboxing and proper like opening of these things soonish. And then I bought 2 of these. I just had to have this one. And then I bought the other one from Inkapet. And then I bought 2 of these from Inky Converters. Whoops! These I will give away. I want to put together a little package and send that to someone. So I want to give these 2 away. So I bought doubles of each. You know, pass on that kindness that I have received. And I bought this color changing ink bottle. I'm not sure if I'm going to give this away or if I'm going to keep it. Not sure yet. What else? This is stuff. Oh. So this I brought last minute because I thought I wanted to dip my pens and try them out with an ink that I know. I think that was a great idea. And then someone, now I don't remember, I do have her Instagram and I will link her, showed this bottle to me and said that she needs every single person to know about this hack that she, let's say, invented, that she came up with. And I think it's genius, so I'm going to spread her idea. She uses these bottles as refill bottles for her inks when she's traveling, because you don't even need an ink syringe. The ink syringe is already built into your bottle. Isn't that like the coolest idea? So you put your ink in here and then you just squeeze it into the converter. How cool is that? So she gifted one to me. Smart, so smart, such a cool idea. This was stuff that my friends purchased and shared with me. And then this bag is all the ephemera, all the fun things that everybody gave to me when I saw them. Stuff from vendor tables, stickers, the teeny tiny bags that everybody made, some ink samples from Pamela, which is awesome. Like, I don't even know who gave this to me. I will find out. This is from my friend Sinna. Then Galen wrote me a lovely card. Joy from Oh Hi Joy. I brought back my all of those things. I just dumped them into this binder here, folder binder thing, so that everything is together and I can have it safely here. So that's all. The only thing that I wanted to say, no, I bought stamp sets. Oh my God. I bought these 2. This is the San Francisco Pen Show Everyday Explorers Co. And then I bought this from the well-appointed desk at the Venice table. And lastly, I hope my camera is still recording. Yeah, looks like it. So I took this notebook with me and I used it to test out things. There's a lot of stuff in here. A lot of writing samples, stamps. But maybe next time I need to secure it with a leash, because I lost it on Friday. Then I went to the Lost and Found on Saturday morning, first thing, before I even went into the show. They had my notebook there. Phew. But then I wanted to try out I wanted to show my friend Mar, who also bought a Mayfair pens from Enigma Stationery. I will link the collaboration of Mayfair pens and Enigma Stationery down in the description box below. I'll show a photo here, because if I hadn't had purchased this specific Mayfair pens, I probably would have bought that one. I think that is even more stunninger than the one that I purchased. I wanted to show her a writing sample of the beak point, and I couldn't find my notebook on Saturday, an hour after I had retrieved it from the lost and found. So I retraced my steps and looked everywhere that I had possibly put it down, and found it at Tokubetsu Memory, Judy's table. The funny thing was, she had already sent me a message, and I'm going to insert that photo here, with a crying notebook that I had left behind. Yep. What can you say? I mean, I'm just me. I'm glad I didn't struggle with finding my phone. I'm glad I didn't struggle with having to bring out and put back my my purse, my wallet and stuff. That was great. Two things that I would like to recommend to you if you're going to a show that lasts for more than one day is bring different forms of bags so that you don't have the weight on the same, like maybe bring a backpack and a sling bag, and one day use a sling bag and maybe one of those bags, and then the other day you use a backpack. Because at the second day, when I was hauling all my stuff around, I thought I noticed the tension and how it just hurt on the same places. And the same goes with shoes. If you have the opportunity to bring more shoes to walk in, swap them out for the different days that you were there. Alrighty, that was all that I wanted to share. I had such a great time. I came back relaxed. Nah, not relaxed. I just came back, and then I had to take care of my dog. But I just feel so invigorated. I feel so refreshed. I feel like I filled my cup to the brim and even more. I'm so happy that I got to see everyone. I wish we had 2 pen shows, or maybe we could have meetups in Reno. If you're from Reno, let's meet and hang out. Even if I'm so desperate that I'm like, even if you're doing a different craft than me and you're just crafty, then let's hang out and be crafty together. Because I just need people who understand how you can be so nerdy on one thing, and you can be nerdy on your thing, and I can be nerdy on my thing, and we can just hang out together. I would love that, for reals, for reals. So yeah, that's it. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I went the way that I went. So I drove there on Thursday. I came back on Monday. The whales weren't there anymore on Monday. So that's a sign too. I had enough time. I didn't have to go back on Monday to work on Monday. I had the day to listen to an audiobook while I was driving home, unload my van, be home, and then go back to work the next day instead of rushing all the things. That was really good. So, thanks so much for watching. I'm so happy you are here. Maybe we can meet someday. I'm definitely not that big of an influencer just yet that I can justify, or someone else is paying for me to go to any other show but the local show. Maybe one day. Or maybe you can come maybe you can come to this show. I know I have met several people who came from really far away, which I found very surprising. I hope you enjoyed being there. I hope meeting me was worth coming all the way. Think about me being so pretentious that I feel like you came all the way just because of me. But if I spin the narrative that way, maybe you'll come back next year. Alrighty. It was so lovely meeting every person, chatting with every person. I had amazing encounters. My audience is old dudes, old girls, young girls. It's interesting. I feel like the majority of us here are similarly middle-aged women, but I'm glad that not only middle-aged women are interested and watching my content. I think that's all. I could go on, I believe. And I still have many strongly held opinions that I'm possibly keeping for myself. Yeah, one thing I wanted to say, sorry, I'm keeping on, was that I stopped myself mostly, besides the inks, from buying just to buy. So I noticed that at some point I was walking the show floor and thinking, what else could I buy? And when I caught myself thinking that, I noticed that no, I don't need to buy anything. I'm good. I don't need to buy paper, unfortunately. I don't need to buy all those things. I wish I could. I wish even if I had the money for them, they're still cluttering my space then. And I'm glad that I caught on most of the time. And I scattered a little bit of money, and I'm glad I did. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.